Kiki's artillery turrets? Kiki's fertility cervix.
The U.S. Supreme Court dismantles abortion rights law.
Kiki's mobility worsens till creepy vertically surges, delivering Kiki a purpose. Kiki's delivery service! This Studio Ghibli movie is about the female CEO of a small business. It's one of my favorite movies of all time, and the first time I watched it in English. No! I know, you're not supposed to watch the English dub of classic Japanese cinema, but it's what I did, and then it's what I continued to do for many years. See, there was a season of my life where I was tremendously sad and lonely, so I watched this nigh daily sipping vodkas on ice just to forget who I was born as and to exist someplace where the future still existed. Due to the habitual ritual watching of the English dub during this depressive episode 7 years ago, I am very familiar with the English dub of Kiki's Delivery Service, and I feel fondly towards it. Or so I thought, until I came across the real English dub of Kiki's Delivery Service and realized that I had been watching not the full version. I had never seen the 1998 full Disney English dub until I pulled up Kiki's Delivery Service on a streaming service and tried to watch the English dub and almost threw up. It turns out I had been blissfully unaware of the extent to which Disney had actually tampered with this movie on the initial English dub, as I had been exclusively watching the 2010 restored audio edition. This was a re-release of the full English dub that removed a lot of extra dialogue and sound cues that Disney had inserted into the movie, stripping it back to something more closely resembling the original Japanese score and script. The full Disney dub was recorded in 1997, released in 1998, and I hate it with my whole heart. Part 1, Disney's Crimes. The Disney dub of Kiki's Delivery Service stars a tiny, and I cannot overstate this, tiny, Kristen Dunst.
Tonight there'll be a big full moon.
White woman spotted.
She is small, like an acorn, or a piece of straw.
And it's kind of about, you know, how she...
That you have...
Little did she know all the sorts of things she would become and do.
Turning Japanese, I think I'm turning Japanese, I really think so.
She's small and giving it her all. She cares so much and is doing her best, and that's great.
Mom, it's the perfect midnight for me to leave home.
I would like to pat her on her head and validate her. It's not her fault she trusted the adults in the room. It's our fault for letting her down. I hold her accountable of nothing except for tininess of which she is guilty and small. 15-year-old Dunst performs as 13-year-old Kiki, a young witch in a small town. In this universe, witches exist and are magic and fly on brooms and brew potions and all that, but they're not evil or really even that impressive or notable.
Do you have some identification?
No, bitch.
Their existence doesn't significantly impact society. They're just a kind of outdated, uncommon oddity.
Do any witches live in this town?
They're like that guy in your small town that plays bagpipes in public sometimes, and you're just like, oh yeah, it's bagpipe guy. Traditionally, at the age of 13, little witch girls must overcome a coming-of-age trial where they leave home on the night of a full moon and find a new town to live in and train in independently for at least a year.
It's one of our oldest customs that when a witch turns 13, she has to leave home for a year to begin her training.
One can assume this probably used to mean, like, enchant the townsfolk, solve their problems in exchange for their reverent offerings, build a hut in a dark forest near a village and accrue glory to your most bewitching name. But now it means you're 13, you go into the workforce and pay rent. Our religion says you have to do that.
Make a lot of money is the move right now.
All of this is quite tastefully communicated to the audience through context cues as Kiki impulsively decides that tonight is the night that she leaves.
Hey, Mom, it's gonna be clear tonight. The radio says there'll be a full moon.
I love how little consideration Kiki puts into her poor parents' hearts while doing this.
It's a perfect midnight for me to leave home.
You mean tonight?
What?
Wait!
Zero interest in or respect for the anxiety that they probably feel.
What happened to the camping trip we were supposed to take this weekend?
Sorry, Dad.
Kiki, you don't sound sorry. This is a good example of the English dub doing a very faithful adaptation of the original in spirit.
来週キャンプに行く道具を借りてきたのに。
ごめんなさい!
Because this is Kiki's movie from Kiki's perspective, we rarely cut to other people's point of view. So we spare no time at all empathizing with the parents' presumably reeling reaction to suddenly losing their child for a year with mere hours' notice. The very next shot after Kiki heartlessly abandons her father's camping trip is him dutifully organizing her goodbye party downstairs.
Yeah, I'll expect you then. Thanks. Hi, Mom, it's me. I wanted to make sure you knew that.
Extensive and necessary labor that I'm sure Kiki has thought about not for 1 second. Kiki packs for her departure with the single-minded excitement of Christmas morning, and she has some tender final moments with her parents, and it all leads up to the scene of her departure into the world.
The world!
This is the real beginning of this movie. It is the climax of everything we've seen up to this point, and it immediately precedes the needle drop opening credits. Kiki, as part of her rapturous literal ascent into independence, has created her own broom to fly on, and this is where her mother puts her foot down.
That's the broom you're going to be leaving on?
Yep.
Is it?
Yes!
I'd rather you took my broom. I know it better.
But Mom, that one's so old.
Wear your jacket, it's cold outside. I don't want to, I'm not cold. But over the course of this movie, you learn that the mom is not being overprotective here. She's just kind of demonstrating intimate knowledge of Kiki's unfortunate limitations.
I could fly. Kiki barely knows how to do that.
Kiki is not talented or good at things. We never see her perform any magical act for the rest of the movie except for flying, which all witches can do, and Kiki is noticeably bad at. She hits walls like she's driving in Grand Theft Auto, but also sometimes just like fucks up randomly. What is that? Like, why can't you do this? Why are you bad at this? And she doesn't improve at flying over the course of the story or unlock any magic powers. If anything, her flying gets worse. This isn't the kind of movie where you're provided the comfort of knowing the protagonist is the chosen one, whose innate deservedness is going to kick in at some point and win them the pie. Kiki doesn't acquire her cutie mark in this story. Anyways, I'm saying I think that Kiki's mom like made her use her broom because she's like, Kiki, you're bad at this. I'm not telling you this, but you're bad at flying. Kiki is actually not ready to go out in the world, and her parents have to let her go despite that. And that real risk and lack of guarantee is probably why this tradition is enforced and upheld in the witch community. It forces you to allow your children to go beyond your control and try and fail on their own before they're ready. Her elders can persuade Kiki to use her mom's broom in this moment because she's still here, but they can't do it tomorrow. Tomorrow, whether Kiki is safe or takes care of herself or does the responsible thing or succeeds or fails is entirely up to her.
Will you write us if you have the time?
Uncertainty is the meaning of the coming of age ritual for parent and child. Also, Kiki's mom generously gives her kid like her car, and Kiki doesn't say thank you. She's like, I wanted to use my broom. More unacknowledged parental labor. So that's the setup to the wistful, anxiety-inducing let go ritual. There's nothing else to do but get the fuck out of here.
Come on, Master Chief. Let's get the fuck out of here.
Kiki mounts her broom, powers up, raises into the air, endorsed by her elders and cheered on by her peers, and fumbles the big moment like a fucking buffoon.
Go, Kiki!
Because she's bad at flying, even though it's the only thing she can do. It's an embarrassing, awkward display of incompetence right at the moment of departure, causing all the onlookers to bite their fingernails, unsure if she even made it out of the nest. Her mom calls out to her courtside.
Aim your broomstick.
A final attempt at mothering, and Kiki responds with nothing. Her father realizes and accepts reality first, his concern turning to serenity as he realizes the silence of his uncertainty is the sound of Kiki's freedom, precisely the essence of what they've gathered here to witness.
May our little baby be well and have a safe trip.
But only when he puts his arm around his wife, the last person still anxiously fretting, can she let go and smile too. I love you, Mom. I'm sorry. Unbelievably good scene. Incredibly deep and funny and beautiful. Just a perfect tone setter. You want to know what Disney did to it?
Aim your broomstick.
Goodbye, everybody! I'll miss you!
She's okay.
She's okay.
She's okay.
How dead must be the soul of the man that made this call? The adult artist who has seen this movie, who's in contact with the creators of this movie, who's tasked with adapting this movie to a new audience of millions of English-speaking Americans. How low must your aspirations have sunk to turn to your team and say, we're gonna have to change that. We need to insert immediate confirmation that Kiki did not impale herself on a tree 200 feet from where she started. I hate a lot of things about this Disney dub, but some of them can easily be interpreted as just pathetic, grating, over-enthusiastic stupidity. Like the scene where Kiki hugs her father for the final time, and it's silent, and you just get to feel that. Subtext. You mean like text we're supposed to say out loud?
I love you, Dad.
I hate the end result, but I can at least empathize with the decision-making process. I don't expect everyone to acquiesce to appeals to subtle, abstract, intrinsic values like enchantment, ecstasy, silence, restraint, ambiguity. But this moment isn't that. This moment isn't that at all. This moment is so fucking obvious with its meaning that you have to intentionally destroy it. You can't, as an adult, especially as a parent, watch this scene without understanding what it is very deliberately depicting. And if the motivation is to make it more family friendly, but it's already a movie about a 13-year-old running into traffic. Who is this for?
She's okay.
I theorize that the people that directed this change would say it's for the kids. But it's not for the kids. This is babying the parents. This added line is an icky, infantilizing fantasy fulfillment for parents who are uncomfortable with the notion that their kid would ever be outside of their control. This editorialization of this scene ensures that the parents never actually let go of Kiki in any real way. They don't have to stop surveilling her before they want to. This keeps them in power. It's such a nightmare because the movie's already family friendly. In fact, this is like the one moment of the movie that's for you. The parent of the family. This is the part where your kid gets to empathize with you. Do you not care about that? Do you not care about relating to your kids? About you both looking at a piece of art that you both enjoy together simultaneously, and it's the same piece of art and that's your kid that you want a relationship with? A reciprocal one where you like understand each other and shit? Do you just see these people as sort of like anonymous subhuman projects that reflect and redound to your own status that you can propagandize to behave in a way that makes you feel good about yourself? I'm getting angry. I'm getting to that age when I see local kids run off a school bus into the arms of their parents, I feel exceedingly motivated to acquire property. I think scrubbing children's media for anything remotely challenging or artful or ambiguous is fucking insulting. This is what I call fake family friendly. Saccharine self-worship in service of the parents' puritanical idea of what they wish their kids would be. It's fetishization of childhood innocence that they're asking kids to perform for their benefit, even at the price of dishonesty. This is how you teach your kids to start lying to you. Okay, so now we're in the sky, and Kiki can't drive with one hand, so she has to ask Gigi to turn on the radio for her, because she can't do shit!
Gigi, climb up and turn on the radio! I don't think I can handle it!
Gigi does so silently, which I find endearing and revealingly intimate. There's a certain level of intimacy that you have to be at with someone to ask them to do things for you bluntly, and for them to do it without even acknowledging the request. It reveals how close you are when you've transcended transactional niceties and the self-consciousness of giving and taking, and you just assume that you can do it because you know you can. This kind of constant, silent, assumed reciprocal companionship is what makes Gigi sparkle and makes him cat-like and mythical and reliable and lovable in between these snarky quips. But in the Disney dub, they remain determined to eliminate all silence, annihilating any charm or mystique that Gigi might have retained in translation.
Oh, great. Now I'm suddenly the flight attendant.
You heard that right. That's Gigi's voice. Gigi is now a late-night New York stand-up at an open mic.
Oh, great.
It's a choice, but that's not the second film-breaking sin that I'm talking about. That happens when Gigi presses the button. Instantly iconic moment, I'm in. This song is very catchy, it's very whimsical, it's a tad mischievous. The kind of song that makes your dad go, I like this one. So, of course, Disney replaced it.
My heart is ready to beat.
This change is upsetting to me for multiple reasons, not the least of which is that it destroys the comedy beat of Gigi and Kiki getting startled by the music. They're jolting in surprise at the sudden blaring horn section piercing through the silent night. How would you be surprised by the gentle unfurling of the softest rock ever concocted by White Girl? This White Girl Y2K crime is committed by the singer-songwriter Sydney Forrest, who is the daughter of the woman who, as a child, sang the I Want a Hippopotamus for Christmas song. So we solved that mystery. Obviously, no shade to Sydney Forrest. This song is certainly music.
I can feel the wind underneath my feet.
But her contribution in this context is discordant and outdated. The original Japanese song is Ruju no Dengen by Yumi Matsutoya. Did I get that right? Yeah, I got that right. It's a song about a woman discovering that her boyfriend is cheating on her, so she leaves him a note in the bathroom and goes to another town. Like, fuck you. See ya! Compare this to the Sydney Forrest song, which is written from Kiki's perspective in the most obvious one-to-one literal way.
Hands in the air, waving up like a balloon, waving down to earth, all alone and on my own.
But it's not just the lyrical content, it's also the genre and style. Ruju no Dengen is a Motown song.
there.
It was released in real life 15 years before Kiki's delivery service in the 70s, so it was chosen as a retro pop song even at the time of release. The Sydney 4 song, by contrast, is so obviously Y2K that it hurts.
I'm not the same today. We're breaking free.
They chose to try to modernize this intro, but this clashes with the entire aesthetic of the movie, which was designed to be timeless. Literally.
僕が勝手に楽しんだのは時代をよくわからないにさせアートでしたことですね。モノクロのテレビがあるのに服用機が飛んでいるとか。
What year is it?
1995.
Huh? There it is!
第二次世界大戦が起こらないであと10年ぐらい経ったらどうなってるだろうとかいろんなこと考えて作った映画です。
We pine for past ideas of what the future could be.
Just because the choice is aesthetic doesn't mean it is arbitrary. Motherfuckers out here removing Jenga blocks willy-nilly. Death of authoring Too Close to the Sun once more. I grew up with the Disney version. I like the other song. Well, maybe art isn't always about what you like. Not everything is your Spotify Wrapped. Grow up. So, at this point, between these two major changes, the movie is already ruined for me. I have never made it past this point of the Disney dub. When this silence is broken and this song plays, I will ruin a movie night. I will bomb a date. So, my bright idea was that I would put myself through that discomfort for edutainment purposes. I will make funny ha-has and pull meaning out of the differences between these three versions. This naturally meant I needed to rewatch all three versions of the film: the 1989 Japanese original, the 1998 Disney crime art dub version, and the restored and reduced 2010 version that I am most familiar with. I did not succeed. I couldn't get through the Disney dub because these bitches will not shut the fuck up. I didn't know how constantly and inescapably noisy and irritating it was going to viscerally be.
Where are we going now?
Just incessantly going, whoa, whoa. Without reservation. It's intolerable. It's like watching the Sonic Snapcube fan dub, except nothing's funny.
I'm pissing on the moon! How do you like that, Obama? I pissed on the moon, you idiot!
Like, if you hate the New York stand-up voice for Gigi, I get it.
Pardon me, Miss Snooty Cat.
You're allowed to hate that. They made a distinctly bold, departing choice from the original source material. They're not trying to recreate the androgynous kawaii kitty that he was designed as. They're making a decision, and you can dislike the decision. Kiki, I'm walking here! But criticizing something for not being something that it clearly is not trying to be is kind of a dead end in terms of critical analysis. Like, you're not even tasting the thing that's in front of you. You're fantasizing about something that you wish existed that doesn't exist. There's more to do when watching a movie that you don't like than to sit there and be like, I wish I was watching a movie that no one made and that I won't make. I felt like this choice for Gigi's voice worked in the 2010 restored edition because it was coupled with all this silent companionship. But when you fill every single silence with half-assed improvised snark,
He told us to stay there.
like, it's just nothing left to love.
There are so many beautiful buildings.
There are a lot of buildings, yes.
The English voice actor for Gigi is Phil Hartman. This was his final role before his tragic homicide, and that's all I know about Phil Hartman. I don't know who this is. I'm vaguely aware he's a beloved SNL person. He's like one of those guys that everyone says is a legend, and then when you go back to watch his sketches, you don't really understand why. I bet Drew Gooden likes Phil Hartman, and I want Drew Gooden to be happy, so whatever. You watching this right now, buddy? What kind of face are you making, Drew? Is it one of these? Or maybe one of these? Wake up, Drew Gooden. You have to make another video about products for your SoFi sponsorship. But this is the only thing I've ever seen Phil Hartman in, so I conclude from my sample size of one that he's bad and I don't like him.
Whoa, don't panic! Kiki, that's a very small space! Whoa! Okay, nice landing.
Get out of my office. I don't want to watch this version of this movie.
I can't do it!
You can't do it!
But if I'm being honest, that's not the real reason that I'm going to stop talking about it now. I have something to confess. When I went for my rewatch of the original Japanese version of this movie, I had a realization that I have never seen this.
Gigi?
I'm trying to figure out how this happened. It seems so out of character for me not to have watched the original version of one of my favorite movies that I suspect I actually backwards rationalized that I had seen it and just preferred the 2010 version for some reason. Like, that made more sense than me up to this point not having seen the original. Man down. But within the opening minutes of my supposed rewatch of the 1989 original Japanese audio version of Kiki's Delivery Service, one of my favorite movies, I realized that I had never seen it before, and the 2010 version that I had become fond of also became completely unwatchable. Part 2, America's Crimes. Oh my god. One can accept abysmally bad things when you never have anything beautiful to compare it to. I can't believe I was never disturbed by these incredibly awkward, inhuman performances of intimate moments.
Just follow your heart and keep smiling.
Yeah. そしていつも笑顔を忘れずにね。
Gigi makes so much more sense when adorable.
I cannot believe they're related.
今の本当にあの人の孫？ピ。
Kiki, look, it's me!
Kiki, 見て見て!
He is wiser and sweeter and not annoying even at all.
Our plan was that we would stick around for another month and play it safe. I like that plan.
旅立ちはもっと慎重に厳かに行うべきだと思うんだよ。
Even the beats of the movie where Gigi makes a high-status, self-aggrandizing joke that are recreated in the American version. In the original, they're fundamentally more esoteric and charming as opposed to just being a grouchy, old, creepy man that's hanging out with his little girl for some reason.
Kiki, どこまで登るつもり？僕はまた天使にお届け物をするのかと思ったよ。
Kiki, how high do you intend to go? Don't look now, but that's an airplane flying under us.
Putting these beside each other, like one of them is like a magical companion that a child would dream up in a fantasy, and the other one is like a nightmare that you would have. What if your dad was with you in the body of a cat at all times?
Sometimes you just have to be who you are and not care what people think. Is this really any of our business? What money you have should be spent on getting us back home, or at least on buying me some decent cat food. And another thing!
The vocal performances across the board are so much more musical and reflective of the emotions being depicted on the screen. There's more melancholy and subtlety to literally everything.
Gigi, 海が見えるよ。Oh, Gigi, we can see the ocean from here.
I love how when the Japanese actors are yelling, they aren't doing that stupid fake yelling thing that's so common in North America for some reason.
Hey there! Your pacifier!
Lady, you forgot your pacifier. Ah! In the Japanese version, they're fucking yelling.
Oksa! Wasuremono!
You can really hear the vocal booth they're recording it in.
Oksa!
They're like echolocating the size of the room.
Oksa!
God, just like every nut and bolt in the whole fucking movie is so much tighter screwed. Please God, never watch any English version of this movie. You are missing out on far too much. Things that I cannot put into words because they transcend words. The 2010 version is nothing to me now. Removing all the doesn't fix that. But I am a words person, and I can talk about those things. The constant, pervasive, minor changes throughout the entire translation that bring the whole thing down. This You Forgot Your Pacifier scene and everything surrounding it actually really cuts to the heart of how rich this was thematically before it was sandblasted into bland oblivion. A newly freed Kiki flies into the very first town that she sees, which happens to be a fucking massive city. She descends down, heart big and open, dazzling onlookers with her witchness, but Kiki quickly spirals out of control because a bitch can't drive for shit.
What is your problem, man? You know how to fucking drive?
When she's finally on the ground, she quickly swallows her shame, radically accepts the circumstance, and introduces herself best foot forward.
魔女のキキです。こっちは黒猫のジジ。お邪魔させていただきます。
And these people are just random people off the street, so they do the polite thing by pretending she doesn't exist and walking away.
I don't know you, and I don't care to know you.
I lived on a farm for about 6 years in rural Ontario when I was around Kiki's age. It was like a radical Christian socialist halfway house charity where we lived in community with people that were trying to get their lives together. Here's some photographic evidence and the glow up. So I've done small town culture and big city culture. I am more than just an East Coast dark woke intellectual. I am other things too. In a small town, it's not difficult to fall into spontaneous personal interactions like the one that Kiki is trying to instigate here because there's not many people around and there's not much going on. If you walk up to a random person in a small town and say, "Hi, I'm new in town, my name's Richard, this is my kid Gertrude," there's a real non-zero chance that this person will respond, "Howdy, welcome to town, my name's Paul, Gertrude go to school, there's only one in the whole town, it's behind the Tim Hortons, my kid goes there, his name's Peter, he calls himself Porridge, says he's a they, them, because Trudeau got to him, but what can you do? He plays guitar." But if you go up to a random person in a city and say the same thing, they will not understand why you were talking to them until you propose some sort of transaction. For in a city, physical proximity is not a sufficient reason to speak to me. You initiate contact with somebody rather apologetically for the purposes of quick executable transactions. Do you know when the bus comes? Oh, I'm sorry, I don't carry cash. Okay, no problem. Yeah, no problem. Not open-ended shit like this.
I thought you're just supposed to let homeless people say whatever the fuck they want, and you just act like you don't see them.
Kiki does not yet know this and has no one to explain it to her, so she introduces herself quite vulnerably to random strangers and feels austerely rejected when they walk away from her, at which point she is harassed by a cop. L's across the board, but then the cop is distracted and Kiki gets away. It turns out the cop was intentionally distracted by Tombo, the boy. In the Disney dub, Tombo is a respectful admirer of Kiki's that she rebuffs for no reason.
Miss, wait up! I sure fooled that cop, huh? That was me yelling thief?
He's the first nice person she's met. He saves her from this cop and then tries to befriend her, and she ignores him.
Stop hating on me, I didn't do anything!
But this ceases to be mystifying in the slightest when you watch the original, in which Tombo is actually quite scary and rude. Then his rowdy gang of rapscallion friends sexualize the situation, making it feel more objectifying. And he just keeps inconsiderately pestering her, despite her visible discomfort and lack of interest, until Kiki is forced to politely tell him to fuck off. This makes sense and stands in sharp contrast to the Disney dub, where Tombo is laying on this sultry Disney prince voice.
You know, miss, I love flying too.
When you take Tombo and just iron him out and flatten him into this sweet, normal, non-threatening boy, it makes tiny Kristen Dunst's reaction seem disproportionate and irrational.
You'll be okay now.
It's all gonna be okay.
Go away, leave me alone!
It's literally just the fake family-friendly media mafia mutilating the beginning of the central enemies to friends arc of the movie for what? Just to make this boy look nice and Kiki look crazy? Just to give this white boy a good white boy Disney role? You don't think this actor has any sort of artistic interest in perhaps playing a character in a situation? Well, you can now catch the American Tombo on season 13 of The Masked Singer as Paparazzo, the singing camera.
Hallelujah.
I was on the side of Pop, you know? I was into the Marvel movies, I was defending Drake, but the stakes are rising and I'm turning into motherfucking Theodore Adorno. The pathetic, self-defeating impotence of this Disney child-safe doorknob installation translation is that American culture can actually be quite rude compared to other cultures.
Kiki,
in the city, you can't just run out into the street.
I'm sorry. We're still alive, aren't we?
キキがいけないんだよ。せっかくカリが風邪だって教えてくれたのにさ。
本当ね。
Would you listen?
I'll be quiet.
Also, in the scene with the birds, they replaced the beautiful bird sound with this squawking. Why? What? Who? For what? Who gained? I love the harmonious squawks. I think they're beautiful. They're like a red-winged blackbird through a tight reverb at 60% wetness. So, suffice to say, between it all, Kiki is chewed up and sped out in her first day in the city. No one cares about her, and she can't find a way in the way that she was looking for. One time, I had the same aimless city day that Kiki had here in New York City. I was there for a thing, but I didn't really know anybody or have anything planned to do, so I just wandered and ate in some places and spent too much money and felt overwhelmed. Like there was so much to do and no one to do any of it with, and the city was like one big joke that I was not in on. There's a beautiful melancholic moment where Kiki surveys the beautiful view that drew her to the city in the first place, processing all alone how such a big, beautiful, bustling place could have no room for someone like her in it. And that's the very moment that Salvation runs up behind her, echolocating a Japanese vocal booth. Kiki sees a need that she can fill. Her preferred mode of transportation and her nothing better to do making this situation better so natural for her, it's impossible to do anything except for it. Also, notable, she breaches the perception of this lady by using city language, greeting her not with a personal introduction, but an offer of service. You can see the city fog of like, why are you talking to me? And again, even just the vocal performance of saying wow. Wow. How is it so much better? Kiki returns a forgotten pacifier to this very ugly baby. You got an ugly baby lady. Doesn't matter what language, ugly baby. He looks horrible. I hate his tooth, his hair. But Kiki is lit up, thrilled to have a purpose, and it provides her with her first actual human moment in the city. It makes her herself again. It lights her up with life, which makes it so sweetly sad how trepidatious and guarded she seems returning to the shop afterwards. The ugly baby mama gave her a note to give to the shopkeep, and Kiki is aware that this is potentially the end of this transaction. She is ready to see herself back on the streets and be a dog out there.
I no longer expect good things.
But of course, au contraire, the lady invites Kiki inside to thank her with a cup of coffee, or if you're watching the English dub, hot chocolate.
Would you like some hot chocolate?
Sorry, could you make it more toothless? And this coffee-accompanied conversation is the end of an arc. The bakery lady skips the niceties and is even a little bit threatening in this conversation in a strange way.
なるほどね。自分の街を見つけるってわけか。
She swiftly demonstrates her own competence, revealing that she is aware of witch culture, she's clocked Kiki as a witch in training, and she knows what Kiki is supposed to be doing. Kiki responds, still with this cautious, trepidatious spirit, the resignation of the day still weighing upon her.
この町の方は魔女がお好きじゃないみたいですね。
And now, finally, Kiki can have explained to her what was explained to me about New York City.
大きな街だからね。いろんな人がいるさ。でも私はあんたが気に入ったよ。
After I had this kind of experience in New York, I thought maybe I don't like New York. Maybe it's just too busy and too big and the lifestyle isn't for me. But then I had a couple friends that were more versed in New York explain to me there are many New Yorks and you gotta go find yours. It's all about who you meet and where you go and what community you enmesh yourself in. It takes some time and intentionality, but once you find yourself in the swing of a particular social sphere, now you have a New York City to actually judge whether or not you enjoy, instead of just being a tourist. Moving to any big city alone for the first time can be very isolating and lonely and intimidating and demoralizing because you feel invisible and it's hard to find your in. You gotta stick it out and go look for it, or you may remain invisible. Social relations in a city are not about physical proximity. They're these kind of webs of cultural relation. I don't talk to my neighbors. I don't even agree with that. I don't think that's right, but it's true. Kiki thinks this city just inexplicably hates witches, but she's wrong. She just doesn't understand cities.
I get a weird feeling here. There was a guy at the grocery store the other day. I had never seen him.
Well, there's often people at the grocery store that you never
You know what I'm talking about.
Well, what are you talking about?
Finally, bakery lady asks Kiki the primary pertinent question.
で、泊まるところは決まったの?
This puts pressure right on Kiki's sore spot, and Kiki doesn't even respond, just wilts downcast into her coffee, and the lady offers her a room.
うちに空き部屋があるから使っていいよ。
本当ですか、奥さん?
And the beautiful button to the scene and sequence is at this point, after Kiki has fully accepted and participated in the logic of the city, Osono finally gives Kiki what she's been looking for from the start.
ここらじゃパン屋のお園で通ってるんだよ。
私、キキです。こっちは黒猫のジジ。
Let's go fucking go!
That's what she deserves.
Throughout this initiation into city life, Kiki endures real friction. She shows up and acts a little bit out of pocket, not understanding where she is, and is hit with a wall of culture shock. She shows up and is herself, and finds out that this actually is not enough. She needs to give people a reason to give a shit about her. Then later, when the opportunity to get involved arises, she bravely goes for it again, this time in a smaller, more humble way, a less personal way that is more adapted to the new culture in which she finds herself. And there, once she's accepted the impersonality of the city, there where she is fully let go of the need to introduce herself throughout this entire interaction, there, poetically, an introduction is returned to her. And she gets to say the thing that she rehearsed.
私、キキです。こっちは黒猫のジジ。
It's so good. Disney ruined it. Osono, instead of revealing her own casual competence in which culture is deferential and dumb.
So tell me if I'm right. I'm guessing you're a witch in training.
Oh my god. Unwatchable. My favorite movie, unwatchable. Then they remove the objectivity from the conversation about city culture shock, instead psychologizing it all and making about like maternal platitudes.
People don't seem to like witches in this town.
Depends on the people. I just met you and I know I like you.
And instead of the final question being a direct confrontation against Kiki's ego, they rephrase it and defang it, making it unintentional and inoffensive.
So tell me, whereabouts you two staying? Oh, I see.
And this only gets worse immediately after, where Osono takes Kiki up to the attic. Oh my god. The English dub insidiously capitalizes on these seconds when Osono's back is turned to the camera.
It may need a little dusting, but I think you'll like it.
ちょっと汚いけど好きにしていいから。はい。
Oh my, it's a little bit dustier than I remember. If I weren't about to have a baby, I'd help you clean.
That's okay.
I hate this so much. Giving someone something that they need and apologizing for it, like, robs Kiki of her agency. It demotes her beneath the station that she is trying to grow up into. Osono is giving Kiki a place to sleep. She brings her a mop and a bucket because Osono expects Kiki to clean it.
Bring a bucket and a mop. Clean up your room.
She's doing much better than being a surrogate infantilizing mother. She's facilitating the witch trial. Kiki is not asking to be taken care of for nothing. She is not asking for charity. If she wanted that, she could have just stayed home. She came here to start a motherfucking business.
電話を引くのっていくらすると思う？電話？そう。お店開くの。
Something America seems determined to leave out.
How much do you think it would cost to get a phone here?
A phone?
Yep. We're gonna need a phone.
It's subtle until you notice they blew past that moment in her packing sequence where she retrieves the money that she saved for this trip and rattles the coins by her ear with immense satisfaction.
あら、そう。私は贈り物の蓋を開けるときみたいにワクワクしてるわ。
You know ever since I turned 13.
They just got rid of it. They even changed the thank you note that the ugly baby mama gives Kiki to return to Osono to make it so that Kiki is not the one that has her own business idea.
おしゃぶり受け取りました。ありがとう。
Thanks for returning the pacifier. Your new delivery girl is really quite special.
Why is this nameless, irrelevant, ugly baby mama the inventor of Kiki's delivery service? You're not gonna let Kiki come up with the name to her own movie? Look how proud she is when she comes up with the business idea.
私、空を飛ぶしか能がないでしょ？だから、お届け屋さんはどうかな？
Look how proud she is cleaning her room, creating a home.
My home this is!
This all only seems to serve to take pressure off of Kiki. But the pressure is the point. Part 3, the gift. So, you know those Instagram stories that are like mutual aid request, queer, BIPOC, trans, disabled, poor abuse victim in need of rent? So this is obviously not a judgment, it's just a technical point. That's not mutual aid. That's begging, like definitionally so. Holding up a digital piece of cardboard to the public with a sob story sharpied onto it in hopes of sufficiently inducing pity in passersby that they donate their spare change to this person in need in a one-way transaction with no accountability measures or ongoing relationship of any kind. And to be clear, you're allowed to do that. I'm not like angry at people that ask me for money on the street. Like sometimes I give them money. I've given money to multiple Instagram stories such as these. Like I've given money to nonprofits and charities before because all of this is basically charity. All of these things are aid, one kind of aid, monetary aid. What none of them are is mutual. The donors are building zero relationship with the people that they are donating to, and the people who are the recipients of these boons are contributing nothing back to the community. Maybe some thankful DMs, if even that. You at least got like a charity receipt for me so I can deduct this on my taxes? Like invoice me? Mutual aid isn't just a woke code name for charity, even when you pitch it to your ideological peers algorithmically sorted on the internet. A better example of mutual aid, despite what you might expect, would be cooking up a delicious, healthy, homemade meal, packaging up the leftovers, and giving some to your coworkers or peers, and then accepting an offer from one of them to be driven to the grocery store to pick up big stuff like toilet paper that you can't easily take on the bus. Baked bread makes soup right now. And you might think, okay, so like the barter system? Instead of exchanging money that represents goods and services, we just directly exchange the goods and services, Settlers of Catan style? I'll give you 4 wheat for 2 brick. But no, mutual aid is also distinct from the barter system, because the barter system is still commercial market trade. In Settlers of Catan, if I can see that giving you 2 brick in a trade will help you complete a road that fucks with my path to victory, I will refuse to give it to you because we are in competition and your triumph means my demise. And if I control almost all the wheat on the board, then I will leverage this imbalance of access to this resource to inflate its trade value like crazy, forcing everyone to give me concessions and a ton of their things for mere scraps of my thing, which makes sense for me to do as a rational agent operating in their individual interest. But mutual aid, as introduced into our lexicon by Kropotkin, describes not individual rational self-interested agents trying to get theirs, which, make no mistake, we are, but we are also members of a community that we feel compelled to give to regardless of whether it maths out ultimately in our individual favor. We contribute to our communities not only out of a contorted contrived, convoluted sense of ultimate self-interest at the end of some long instrumental calculation, but to signal and express membership for its own sake. It's my community. I want to see it flourish. And this principle, once raised out of the personal sphere into the social sphere, becomes what the independent scholar Lewis Hyde calls a gift economy.
What happened was I was introduced to a lot of anthropology, where people study small groups, tribal groups, peasant communities, and so forth, in which you find that material property, food and clothing and axes and jewelry and stuff, circulates through gift giving, not through purchase and sale.
Are you familiar with the phrase Indian giver? You are about to be. This is a pejorative term for someone who gives a gift and then wants their gift back. In 1764, when Thomas Hutchinson wrote his History of the Colony, the term was already an old saying. An Indian gift, he told his readers, is a proverbial expression signifying a present for which an equivalent return is expected. Imagine, you are a white settler that has traveled to a land that is not yours and made a home there. Some of you don't have to imagine. You find yourself on the land of a local tribal community, and after you demonstrate that you are not a threat to each other, one of the tribe members invites you into their home for a meal. After the meal, they pull out a beautifully carved ceremonial tobacco pipe and smoke some tobacco with you. Then, as you're leaving, in front of everybody, they give you this ceremonial tobacco pipe as a gift. To which you, white colonists, think, fuck yeah, free pipe! So you go home, you smoke it again, show it off to your friends, and then ship it across the ocean to be featured in a museum as Indian ceremonial pipe gifted to brave early settler by dignified savage.
What is wrong with you, Arthur?
Later, some members of the friendly tribe come to your home and you share a meal with them, but then, to your surprise and offense, they seem somewhat expectant with regards to this pipe. They keep bringing it up, kind of signaling that you should offer them a smoke or even give it back. When you say you sent it across the ocean, they are horrified and insulted that you would do this, making you feel bad for doing what you want with the thing that they gave them. How dare they? Kill them! Kill them all! Die! 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 So that's unfortunately fairly close to what happened. These kind of conflicts and this pejorative term emerged from a fundamentally different philosophical understanding of what a gift even is. The white colonists received this gift as a free commodity. From the viewpoint of a private property economy, the gift is deemed to be free because we obtain it free of charge, at no cost. But the person that was giving the gift never thought of the ceremonial pipe as their private property. It was always common to the community. Whoever is holding the ceremonial object is the temporary honored holder that is expected to eventually give this gift to somebody else in the community. But in the gift economy, gifts are not free. The essence of the gift is that it creates a set of relationships. This is basic politeness from the tribe's perspective, and you have been incredibly disrespectful and selfish and crass, dishonoring this invitation to participate reciprocally in community with these people. Instead of engaging with them reciprocally, you stole. The Indian giver, or the original one at any rate, understood a cardinal property of the gift. Whatever we have been given is supposed to be given away again, not kept. The opposite of Indian giver would be something like white man keeper, or maybe capitalist. That is, a person whose instinct is to remove property from circulation, to put it in a warehouse or museum, or more to the point for capitalism, to lay it aside to be used for production. This anecdote is how Lewis Hyde begins his 1983 book, The Gift: Imagination and the Erotic Life of Property. He goes on to historicize and analyze gift economies that spontaneously have emerged in civilizations all across the world. He also analyzes reams of fairy tales and folklore in which gifts often play a prominent role to see how we feel about gifts, the underlying ethics beneath them in our stories. It's fucking fascinating. We will be reading this in full on the Kill the Internet book club that lives on my Patreon. Patreon funds all of the independent artistic and philosophical work that I do online and in real life. Every tier gets you the same thing. Donate if you want to, do not if you do not. And if you like this stuff and you want to see me in my latest, most modern medium, then come see me on tour. I'm performing 100-minute comedy philosophy lectures that happen at the same speed and intensity as this right here, except there's no jump cuts and I'm there in real life. I've created 3 of these that are completely distinct from each other, and they come with a 30-minute Q&A at the end. Toronto, Vancouver, Dublin, Edinburgh, London.
Liverpool.
All on sale. cjthex.com/lectures. Let me brain blast you in real life. Patreon. Gifting with a commercial taste. Selling lecture tickets. Commerce with a gifty taste. Lewis Hyde finds gift economies tend to share qualities governed not by law, but decorum and social custom. 2 components of the gift that he deduces from anthropological study and literary analysis of our folklore are these. The gift must be consumed and it must stay in motion. And we can see vivid depictions of both of these qualities in the 1989 movie Kiki's Delivery Service. A. The gift must be consumed. Osono gives Kiki a place to stay, but she doesn't discuss any terms or compensation. She just gives her the space and a mop and a bucket with no further discussion. But consider an obvious faux pas that Kiki could commit at this moment. What if Kiki went out tomorrow and put a poster up in town renting out Osono's room while Kiki got a room somewhere else? That would clearly feel fucked up. But why? A gift must always be used up, consumed, eaten. It doesn't have to be explicitly stated for you to intuitively understand that Kiki is meant to sleep in this bed, treating it as an intrinsic final material good for her to consume. It's undignified to wield it as capital for you to profit off of. It drags this intrinsic sacred good down into the realm of the instrumental and profane. The British social anthropologist Wendy James observed this very same social rule amongst the Urux in eastern Sudan. Gifts were common between these subclans, but if you invested the gift for further growth, it was taken as a great insult. So if I gift you 2 goats, I really expect you to eat them in a feast. If it comes out the goats I've given you were bred or traded away for cattle, there will be general complaint that the so-and-sos are getting rich at someone else's expense, behaving immorally by hoarding and investing gifts, and therefore being in a state of severe debt. It will be expected that they will soon suffer storm damage. To which Lewis Hyde astutely adds, what happens in fact to most tribal groups is worse than storm damage. Where someone manages to commercialize a tribe's gift relationships, the social fabric of the group is invariably destroyed. You get a whiff of the effects of the dishonored gift when this nice old lady hires Kiki to deliver this homemade pie to her granddaughter for her birthday.
I want a
herring pie!
My birthday dinner.
Kiki arrives ready to deliver this package, but the old lady's oven was broken, so the pie is not cooked, and she offers to just pay Kiki anyways for her troubles. But Kiki, ever the contributor, is not comfortable accepting money for nothing. This is her business. This was her last job of the day anyways. She got nothing else to do, so she decides to earn this money by helping the elderly lady build a wood fire and cook the pie. Cook the pie. I'll put that on a t-shirt. Cook the pie. That's gonna be the name of my next lecture. Cook the pie. Once she's built a fire and got the pie cooking, Kiki is just kind of fired up and enjoying being in action, so she starts helping the lady around the house with various physical things that she hasn't been able to do. The lady gratefully and graciously in return nourishes Kiki with tea and snacks and a good hang, and then as Kiki's leaving, she overpays Kiki to express her pleasure with Kiki's service. This is a tip in terms of the commercial transaction, but it's also risen out above the commercial transaction into a personal gift exchange. Now we're just doing things for each other that we don't have to do without talking about it. Kiki then struggles and suffers through a rainstorm, rushing to get this pie to the birthday girl while it's still hot, but when she delivers the gift, you see the recipient is a bitch.
だからいらないって言ったのよ。おばあちゃんからまたニシンのパイが届いたの。私このパイ嫌いなのよね。
There's something soul-killing about this positive feedback loop of good faith commerce terminating with this ungrateful waste. And you can see Kiki's immediate spiritual deflation. I'm not saying that this girl should have just choked down the pie. There's an alternative way to honor a gift even if you are not the one who personally materially consumes it. B, the gift must stay in motion. Tombo clearly wants something to do with Kiki, but she keeps rebuffing him due to his insensitive, harassing on the street catcall approach. Bro, you're leering at her with your friends. I gotta be aware of the space you take up in the world as a man. Boys, I'm non-binary, but I'll be your dad. I still partake in the male community and I shall contribute towards it. But Tombo, despite their initial cultural miscommunication, does what the white man keeper did not. He changes how he communicates. Tombo finds out where Kiki works, but not in a weird way, and then he goes in to talk to her, but not in a weird way. Yeah! I'm sorry, can't help you. First, he buys something from her at the bakery. Then, he gives her an invitation to a party, which beautifully, conveniently demonstrates the difference between gifts and capital. In the first transaction, the exchange of commodities as represented by capital, the two human beings involved have no relationship to each other and are not required to continue one as soon as the balance is set to zero. In commodity exchange, it's as if the buyer and the seller were both in plastic bags. There's none of the contact of a gift exchange. There is neither motion nor emotion because the whole point is to keep the balance, to make sure the exchange itself doesn't consume anything or involve one person with another. This is why Kiki can snub Tombo personally while still performing her duty as a cashier. Thank you. She does her job, she takes his money, gives him the product, and then it's over. But when he then gives her an invitation to a party, well, that's different. It asks something from Kiki, personally. The only way to accept this gift would be for Kiki to attend the party much later. And even if she does, are they now paid up? Or does the party count as another gift? This is no longer an algorithmic calculation. You have to be a person to navigate through this. Unlike a paid invoice or a signed contract, this relationship now does not have a definite end. It involves uncertainty. Kiki has no choice but to sit in the imbalance and obligation that this gift creates in her body, literally stretching their relationship out into time.
あんなにあの子のこと怒ってたのにパーティーへ行くの?
This awesome animating power is also inside of Osono's initial gifts to Kiki. She gives Kiki her room without defining the terms, leaving Kiki in a state of unpaid debt that spurs her almost immediately into a spirit of creativity and contribution. The very next morning, Kiki already has an idea for a business, a flying delivery service, because it's the only thing that she can do, even though she's bad at it. She's clearly willing to invest into building this, but Osono, as the mentorial businesswoman, discourages her from investing what little capital she has into buying resources to do this, because this girl doesn't look like she can get a loan or like wisely deal with debt. I don't know if a 2-year loss period really makes sense for your position. Instead, Osono, who is clearly much more experienced at managing resources and has more of a reservoir to draw upon than Kiki, suggests, fuck the money. Use the phone in the bakery for your business. Keep the room upstairs. I'm gonna have a baby. I've been hiring. I need maternity leave after this. Why don't you work in the bakery as much as I want? No money changes hands and you build up from there. Everybody taken care of without money changing hands or the equivalence of the commodities exchanged, negotiated, and agreed upon. But there is a clear imbalance. Kiki is getting a lot out of the situation, so she needs to work hard and do something with this opportunity to honor this gift. Osono does not give Kiki the comfort of the point where Kiki's obligations cease to exist. There is no formal agreement that their contributions cancel each other out. She merely identifies it would be a redundant waste for Kiki to buy a phone, then proposes they help each other out as they can. Something that the English dub, It's Back, chooses to subtly minimize, releasing Kiki from this pressure. Osono in the English dub takes on a much more maternal energy, seeming to shield Kiki from the notion that she is entering into uncertain and unpaid debt. And this is accomplished by rewording the dialogue so that they are agreeing to terms of a deal.
What I think you should do is use our phone. I'll make you a deal. Since I'm expecting a baby, I could use help.
Think about the word term, like terminal. Terminated. When Osono throws in a free breakfast at the end of this conversation, whether or not it's described as a deal changes the nature of the wink with which she does it. When they talk about it as if it's a transaction, it's so blatantly unfair, it feels like a mother accepting Monopoly money for like a car.
And I'll throw in a free breakfast, okay?
Yeah! We've got a deal!
But when it's left open-ended, a clear, knowing Indian gift, the wink is again a little threatening, like, your move.
ついでに朝ごはんもつける
Gratitude requires an unpaid debt, and we will be motivated to proceed only so long as the debt is felt. If we stop feeling indebted, we quit, and rightly so. Towards the end of this movie, Kiki is called in by the nice rich old lady to deliver another package. But this delivery is actually a gift delivered to Kiki in code with a wink.
それをキキという人に届けてほしいの。この前とってもお世話になったから。
Kiki has been going through it lately, so she sheds a tear silently, but then responds not with what she's thinking, but participating in the drama.
きっとその子もおばさまのお誕生日を知りたがるわ。
This blatant gift exchange comes alive due to its implicit unspoken nature. It makes an art out of reciprocity. Partners in barter talk and talk until they strike a balance, but the gift is given in silence. I have this unfortunate habit of responding to generosity from my loved ones by explaining how I'm going to pay them back or make this worthwhile for them somewhere down the line. And now I can't help but see that anxious assurance of compensation as a kind of profane cowardice on my side. Verbosely trying to explain this gift away, trying to explain that it's not really a gift at all, it's a fair transaction. It's me awkwardly filling the space with terms, trying to lower this gratitude from the gratitude of a gift of an unpaid debt expanded through time to the gratitude that I would give someone that I paid money to do something and did a good job. So what I'm trying to do instead lately is sit in that imbalance and allow for the motion and gratitude and obligation that it organically generates within me, leave things unsaid, and let that seed sprout into actions. I'm ashamed to admit this. I'm actually not even sure if I'm going to keep this in, but I I know that one of the reasons people roll their eyes at me when I explain all of the sort of bounties I'm going to give them in return is that they know I'm not going to successfully repay them. Because I don't. And probably one of the reasons for that is because I'm not sitting in that discomfort. Sometimes you talk enough and explain something and like you can diffuse it and you actually aren't feeling the lack that's supposed to be inside you that motivates you towards actual action. It is as if you give a part of your substance to your gift partner and then wait in silence until he gives you a part of his. Another reason Gigi should have turned off that radio in silence, bitch. The plot of this film can literally be described as a young woman starting her first business. But this is not a tale of domination or conquest or competition. Instead, it's a beautiful, tender, empowering, empathetic story about a young woman becoming a contributing independent member of a society. And the health and humanity of the economy depicted in this movie, I think, stems down to goods and services. One tends to only hear these terms in the context of financial discourse, but think about that for a second. Good, serve, to make good and serve others. That's not capitalism, bitch, that's love. That's participation in society.
魔女の血、絵描きの血、パン職人の血。神様か誰かがくれた力なんだよね。おかげで苦労もするけどさ。
Something I've grown to regret over the years is how me and my peers in music school managed finance and creative labor. Over the last decades, creative labor has been devalued tremendously. People are not as well taken care of. They all have to fend for themselves. There's no musician that's like a working musician that isn't one of the top 1% or whatever that doesn't have multiple income streams. Like, this is tragic, but I've had, musician friends of mine reach out to me like, how did you set up your Patreon? And I have to tell them that, like, I'm not one of the musicians that made it. I have Patreon funding for YouTube. I get to do music on the side.
I will rest until I eat your shame. I'll give my best.
But this knowledge coming at this long legacy of record labels exploiting artists and now the platforms becoming these sort of like abusive boyfriends or whatever. He was nice to me that one time, really nice to me. It's my fault. I do things he doesn't like. Sometimes I fear more than I fear the thing that we are afraid of.
Not a thing I fear besides fear itself.
I fear this fear of being exploited, this fear of there not being enough money, of people making you work for free, of not being valued, of getting in a contractual dispute where you are disadvantaged, caused us to financialize our interactions far before we were ready to. We were surrounded by musicians, and all anyone wanted to do was make music and complete things and practice and release things and build a reputation. So why the fuck are we passing around the same $20 when none of us have any money? What if I had just mixed the song of literally anybody who needed it? What if I built a name for myself and finished a lot of beautiful things and made more dreams come true instead of trying to like get mine? What if instead of trying to entice people into working on my stuff, I just asked them to do it and said, you can use me for anything. I'll just help you. What if I make you meals if you do this? Wouldn't have that resulted in more art, in more relationship, and more collaboration, in more community, in more solidarity, and not only that, but like more opportunity for actual financial success? And even if it didn't result in financial success, most of us don't have financial success anyways. So wouldn't it have been good intrinsically just to have the art and just to have the community? There was so much exchange of good and service throughout this movie, and I couldn't tell you if it balances out on a spreadsheet. What I do know is by the end, it feels unfinished.
意地悪
だから愛子
So I guess it has to stay in motion. Like Kiki on the broom! On the broom! So I'm never gonna watch a 2010 restored audio dub ever again, so I guess we should just scrub it for anything of further note. I love how Kristen Dunst performs the word fly at the climax of the movie. I think it's better than the Japanese.
Fly.
incredibly epic. It's like the only spell she casts for the whole movie. What else do I like? I don't know. It's like the old man in the clock tower.
Nobody's seen one around here in a long time.
Witches in this town. Also, these other characters is like this person.
Must have been blinded by two beautiful girls in front of it.
Is this person?
Just as my great-grandmother told me.
Person is this person?
It must be my present from Auntie. Mom, can I put the canary in here?
Is that Pajama Sam?
Shut the door when you're done. I can find them for you. Come on, you stupid bird. A box top.
That's actually Pajama Sam. I guess it's worth watching for that.
I think I'm an addict, want the world and I'ma have it. I'm so fucking dramatic, got all my bones up in the attic, and I dance them all around like a marionette.
You guys are doing this for free for me, right?
No. Alright, there's enough in-video ads, and I'm about to take a bus to Ottawa to do my lectures, so just keep this tight. Fucking donate on Patreon and buy my lecture tickets and listen to my album Sober More, album EP, listen to my new EP Sober More. What the fuck else? What else? Like and subscribe? Do people say that anymore? Try to create something beautiful for somebody today. Like make food. Make sure you try to eat a vegetable. Take calculated risks. Buy the dip. Keep in touch with the Hank Green videos. You always gotta keep an eye on that motherfucker. The election just happened and didn't go as bad as it didn't go. It wasn't the bad thing that it was gonna be bad for a second. Jag meat sweep! Jag meat sweep! Oh shit, I have to go. Fuck. Okay.
It's really not a centrism at all, but I have, when I hang out with capitalists, I am the most like rearing, raging socialist, and I won't let their fucking throat go. And then around my leftist friends, I'm like, y'all bitches need a job. We need to get over our like allergy. I'm speaking on behalf of the leftists. Like, get over our allergy to like successful people and successful institutions, because you fucking need those. That's what you're trying to build. You have to enchant people. Yeah. Like with majesty, like with performance, like magic, like God, It's enchantment. I think it's enchanting. Like, you don't even persuade.